Okay, everyone. I have some important news. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. This is important. Um, Charlie Kirk was shot, and he was shot while he was at a USA event. And I do have a story here. It is from the local news. Um, they're a little bit vague because it came out when it just happened. They do have some updates, but I mean, it's still early. All I can say right now is it doesn't look good. It really does not look good. So let me show this to you. Um, so here's the local Fox News. This, for people who don't know how news works, this is a Fox affiliate, so don't consider it the same as the Fox News. This is just going to be your local channel. Your regular local stuff is going to be completely different. They do have a video on here, and it looks like it's up close. So if you have the stomach for it, go ahead. I can't show it because this is on Rumble and YouTube, and I will get banned for it. So I'm going to look here to start. This one isn't close enough, so Kirsha here is probably going to be talking about this later, which is why I bring her up. So check her out. I'm going to talk about this later too. I'm not sure what we're going to look up because it's not just like a riot. We got to make sure that none of it actually shows a shooting. I'm going to describe it for you, but if I was to show it, I'd get banned, like I said. So we're going to have to watch out how we talk about this as streamers. Fox can talk about it all they want. CNN can talk about all they want. They can talk about it. They could show a nude body in blood, and it's just fine. But if I was to show you the blood that's coming out of him, I get banned. So keep that in mind. Forgive all of us who don't have the same ability to talk about things as they do. She says here, hopefully he will be all right, and whoever did this actually faces repercussions. And right there he is. Let me go to it here. It says, right here. Yeah, it's not going to be talking. So we can just play it without. So this is a person that they got. It was a very long shot. He apparently knows how to shoot. That this is not something that you make by mistake. We're going to go into that story, and it's going to talk about that a little bit. But it was a 200-yard shot. For people who know American football, that's 2 football fields away. If you're talking yards are kind of close to meters. So for you who know meters, there you go. About, basically what it's like. So this is a man that shot Charlie Kirk. It says here it's a boomer Democrat. So, this is kind of what we're going to expect to see here is some of the older generation. He might be military trained with that kind of shot. So I don't want to say too much for sure because it's still early. We're probably going to get a drip of information about this guy because he was a Democrat. And that's just how the news is right now. I know it's starting to change. It's starting to get a little bit better, but that's just how it is. And then Chiba Reviews actually said something. I usually don't bring him up for news, but he brought up something important. Prepare yourself for a mass crackdown on violent rhetoric online, especially big name streamers advocating for political violence. What happened to Charlie Kirk is not something that will be taken lightly. Something like this can and will lead to more violence. I feel we are at the closest we've ever been to civil war. I think that's wishful thinking. As far as the streamers go, your Hassan Pikers, those types, they're going to be able to say whatever the hell they want, and they're going to get away with it. And like I said, the news can talk about it. You can have people like Vance. Oh, he's a black guy who's on, I think, CNN, and he's allowed to say whatever he wants because he's black and he's a Democrat, and so they can do what they want. I don't care if you don't like it. That's just how it is. And so he's going to be able to get away with it. And he can say things like maybe he shouldn't be alive. That's unfortunate. That's what's going to screw up the news cycle. And that is going to be the reason why it just drops. And so I'm going to go into the story. I'm going to read it real quick. It's not much here. Orem, Utah, that's where it is. That's the university that he was at. And like it says here, the suspect is in custody. So school officials said gunshots were fired at the top of the Losi Center on campus, which is approximately 200 yards away from where Kirk was speaking. And the shooting occurred about 20 minutes into Kirk's speech. That's going to be about 12:20, but I've heard 10 minutes in. That this video that you're seeing right here on screen, I probably can't play it. I'm not even going to try. I'd have to do editing, and it's not worth it. I basically edit out the entire point of watching the video. The video of the incident shows Kirk speaking before he appears to be shot in the chest area. It wasn't the chest area. I'll go into that. And falls to his left. The crowd and a few thousand that had gathered immediately began scattering from the courtyard among screams. That's to be expected. Utah University is currently in lockdown. Now that they have the guy, I'd imagine the lockdown's probably going to end. They probably want to get people out of there just so that they have space for the police to get any evidence, anything that they can get. FBI Director Cash Patel said that he's going to be monitoring the shooting. The FBI deals with these shootings. It's going to probably be treated like domestic terrorism because it was at a political event. It says here that we are closely monitoring the tragic shooting involving Charlie Kirk at Utah University. Our thoughts are with Charlie and his loved ones and everyone affected. Agents will be on the scene quickly, and the FBI stands in full support of the ongoing response and investigation. It's going to be the local FBI, so it shouldn't take too long. There should be an office somewhere close because Salt Lake City's big enough. They probably have an FBI office there. I will look more into that for later. But, with this story being breaking, the information is a little bit old, and it didn't quite have what was in that shooting. There was a lot of blood. I mean, a lot of blood. This is not being shot in the chest. This looks like it's being shot in an artery, maybe really high up on the chest, but it looked more like he was shot in the neck. And I got to get away from that just in case. There was a lot of blood. And the way it looked, I don't think he's going to make it. And this is really all going to go down to the news. The news cycle is just absolutely nuts. And they are willing to call out these people and say that they are doing things that they're not doing, saying that they're inciting riots and things like that when they're not. And so it pisses these people off. And they think that, well, if I just shoot them, the problem goes away. And so you have people in the news talking like that, and people are driven absolutely nuts. And I don't know what else we can do about it, but people need to start speaking up, and they need to start saying that you can't have news cycles like that. If you have one guy who's saying, like in a tweet, that, such and such is evil, fine. But when it becomes a news cycle, when it becomes nonstop for hours, for days, for months, that starts going into people's heads, and they start thinking that getting rid of people is going to solve the problem. That is why we have riots. Those riots started because if we get rid of all these cops, we get rid of the problem with cops shooting police, even though it turned out that, only 9 people who were quote unquote unarmed were shot one year, and people thought it was 10,000. It's because of this news cycle. I'm going to straight up blame the news for radicalizing this person into shooting him. I blame the news. And we have to stop this brainwashing that's happening in these. I mean, the way that Vance was talking on the news, again, it's not our president or vice president Vance. It's the guy on CNN. We have to stop these people. And that was all part of Trump when he was suing these organizations when they were lying about him. It's because this type of stuff happens. It is because of this. Not because he's a pussy, but because if these people keep saying he's a rapist, he's a rapist, he's a rapist, people are going to believe that he's a rapist. And that's why he won. That is why we have to deal with these organizations like this. Yes, you have free speech. You have freedom of the press. But if you flat out lie, especially after you're told that you can't say it, and you say it anyways, you end up with people shot. And that is a serious problem that we need to deal with. And I'm not sure how I want it to say how we deal with it. Maybe I need to wrap my head around it and deal with that conversation tonight on a live stream. I'm going to probably clip that section out of the live stream, and I'm not sure what else I'm going to do tonight. I wanted to have a calm gameplay live stream tonight because my life is getting a little weird. But this isn't going to let that happen. I need to talk about this. I need to make sure this doesn't vanish just because the only people who talk about it in the big news stations are going to be the Fox News and then CNN saying, good, it should have happened. That's what's going to happen. They won't say it that way, but they'll say something like, well, his violent rhetoric, and they won't be able to point to anything, is what led to this situation. It's bad that it happened, but it's his fault to begin with. And that's the way the news is going to handle this. And so that's why the rest of us need to talk about it, truthfully, that the way that it happened, and we can make comments, but we need to make sure that we don't say things like that, because that is going to lead to more violence. And that is what Chibi Reviews was trying to talk about here, is that it's going to lead to more violence. Can lead to more violence. But he's just pointing to the wrong target. And it's going to be the CNNs and the MSNBCs talking about it in the way that, yeah, it happened. He shouldn't have been shot, but, it's his fault for talking about stuff. And that is going to radicalize more people. They're going to say, see, we got rid of Charlie Kirk. That's one problem solved. Maybe we should keep going. And we cannot allow that to happen. So I've let this go long enough. I'm already at almost 15 minutes. So I'm going to let this go. Check me out. I should start around 7, but with what's going on, I might want to look at the news. Maybe start at 9 instead. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, starting at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. I might start late tonight. We'll see what happens. I need to go out. Then I have to look at the news, see if there's more information, and we'll go from there. If you don't see me, have a good night. If so, I will see you then.